On Overdrive this week, we check out the all-new Toyota Innova Crysta and pit it against its closest rival. Also on the show, we drive Honda's first compact SUV, the BR-V.
Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Sohini Dutt. Now, the MPV segment may have shown contrasting results for different automakers, but Toyota has always shown an upward graph thanks to the Innova. And now they plan to push that envelope a little further with the Innova Crysta. Take a look.
The MPV segment has had contrasting results for various car makers, but Toyota has shown a constant upward graph, and that too for the last 10 years, thanks to the Innova. And now they want to push that envelope further with their new offering, the Innova Crysta. With the Qualis and the Innova, Toyota has understood the MPV preferences of the Indian market rather well. It's no wonder then that the Innova Crysta has taken 5 years to develop, addressing all requirements and expectations of its target audience. The result is an MPV that has upped the game and has undergone an unbelievable transformation in the area that matters the most for an MPV, the cabin. The cabin is just wow for an MPV. It just looks so much more polished than what we have been used to seeing. Now the switches, the busy spoked instrumentation, the blue backlighting, it'll all maybe remind you of a CR-V. This car quickly establishes itself as a Japanese design or an Asian car. But the fit and finish, the quality of the materials used is absolutely top-notch for what it is, an MPV. The curved floors for the dashboard fascia make the cabin look sophisticated. A single-piece forward trim highlights the cabin's generous width, while matching trim on the steering wheel looks premium and reminds you of the Camry. The instrumentation is large and easy to read, and the clocks are separated with a digital multi-info display. The touchscreen infotainment takes center stage on the range-topping trims and has an easy-to-use interface. Below it are the ergonomically placed AC controls with their angle panel flowing atop the tunnel console. I would have preferred finer fonts for the switchgear to go with the premium look and feel of the cabin. Think XUV 500. The front seats are now wider and firmer, but this is not a driver-focused car in that sense. So Toyota says that the Innova's top spec trims are generally bought by the chauffeur-driven type, and that is why the rear seat or the second row has been given a lot of preference, and that's why everything has been designed with the second row in mind. So you get this nice wood finish which you don't get on the front door trim. And look at the knee room. The seat is completely set backward. It's not even my driving preference. It's a lot more backward, and still I have tremendous amount of knee room. Foot space is good, under thigh support is good, headroom is good. The seats have actually grown wider and bigger, and the contouring is also much better than the older Innova. The second row also gets sturdy trays for light items. The rear door pads are made to look more premium than the frontal ones, and there is an ambient lighting along the roof vents to impart a more upmarket feel to the second row. There are 22 large bottle holders spread around the car. A cool compartment in the dash and 2 bottle holders in front of the side AC vents ensure that you always have cool water too. This was a big boon on the long summer drive that we had. Even for a person of my size, the third row isn't that bad. I won't call it exactly comfortable, but that has always been the Innova's trump card. And this one does a better job at it because the contouring of the seats again in the third row as well is much better. 2 adults and a kid, yes. 3 kids, even better. You have a third headrest as well. It has been tucked away into the boot as of now. And you also get a nicely integrated seat belt. While we didn't put the third row on a long distance test, the first 2 rows left little room for complaint on our 10-hour drive from Mumbai to Goa. The cabin also feels very airy despite the darker shades used for the upholstery. The improved cabin space is also attributed to the Crysta's larger dimensions. Though it sits on the same wheelbase as the outgoing model, the passenger space has improved. Boot space still remains the same too. The Innova's already generous ground clearance has gone up marginally. Visually, the Crysta looks much larger thanks to an SUV-inspired styling, larger 17-inch wheels, increased overhangs and an imposing grille with twin-pot headlights flanking it. These can also be had with LED headlamps, and a combination of white and yellow lights works rather well for night journeys on our unpredictable roads. The shape of the taillights reminds me of the new Land Cruiser Prado's headlights, but their large size makes the tailgate appear narrow. Toyota has also added these fins. There's one here, 2 out there at the taillights. They call it the aero fins. They say it aids aerodynamics and also helps the car maintain its composure at highway speeds. The large windows, the diagonally cut quarter glass, and the ridge for the window line add some flair to the slab sides. But there's no denying that this still looks like an MPV. Toyota has tried to reduce this effect further by giving it wider shoulders and a narrower bottom to give it a shape inspired by a ship or a boat.
So does it rock like a boat? Well, not really. Now Toyota says that the front and the rear suspension has been tuned to work uniformly or absorb shocks uniformly. So what that does is it reduces the pitch. That also reduces nosedive. Body roll is also kept under check. And I think it's all worked. Now this is a tall riding MPV, so there is a fair bit of body roll and pitch, but compared to the previous Innova, this is a much more stable vehicle.
Though it benefits from Toyota's new modular TNGA platform, the Crysta still uses a ladder frame chassis which is now thicker and has stronger cross members for better rigidity. There is a bit of roll when initiating a turn, beyond which the body feels rigid. On a series of switchbacks though, the vehicle does make its long length and ladder frame construction evident. The grip from the Bridgestone tyres on our tester was reassuring.
Along with the new chassis, Toyota has two new engines on offer. Yeah, two engines. So gone is the 2.5, in comes a 2.4 litre oiler, and the top end variant comes with a 2.8 litre. Now the 2.8 is mated to a 6-speed automatic gearbox. That's the one I'm driving right now. The output is pretty healthy, 174 PS and 360 Newton meters of torque. 360, just what the doctor ordered for a 7-seater MPV. And that torque is dialed in from 1200 RPM, which means low end, as you would expect from an MPV, is quite sorted.
So even with a full house, the Innova doesn't feel out of breath. It is mated to a 6-speed torque converter automatic, which is surprisingly smooth and reasonably quick to respond to part throttle. There's a manual mode too, should you need to stick to lower gears on inclines or in sticky situations. The 2.4 is impressive too and isn't noticeably slower. This one's got a healthy low-end torque as well, but the 5-speed manual that it is mated to just makes for better control over the engine. The clutch isn't too heavy either, so city commutes won't be a problem. Both the engines also come with 3 driving modes, normal, eco and power, which alter the throttle response. In the automatic, all these 3 modes have identical shift points, but the way the engine gets there changes. On the 2.4, the difference in throttle response is more evident despite the lower output. The Innova is also heavier now by almost 200 kilos, but a better power to weight ratio means that it is a more ego operator now.
Another big improvement, noise and vibrations. Compared to the decade-old Innova, this one does feel like a new generation car. The noise deadening is much better. I remember the earlier Innova, the engine almost sounded like a tractor engine. This one is almost composed till about 3000 RPM. You do not get that typical diesel clatter even past 3000 RPM. It doesn't sound like a typical diesel engine. And Toyota says that they have particularly engineered this sound to make it sound a little more pleasant as compared to most other oilers, and I think it's worked. As for road noise, again it's pretty sorted. Even with the larger tires, the larger footprint that this vehicle has, the road noise or even the wind noise only creeps in past 140 kilometers an hour. I think that's a very good job there.
The vehicle also feels quite stable at those speeds. The steering is a little on the heavier side, but it is still a hydraulic power steering unit and feels quite direct, making for more precise and safer direction changes.
New generation car, so a lot of safety features on offer, but the most important, 7 airbags on the top end version. On the lower spec trims or any of the trims, 3 airbags are standard. The passenger, the driver and the driver knee airbag. And I think that's a very good step that Toyota has taken.
Anti-lock brakes are standard too. The Crysta will also get vehicle stability control, hill start assist and ISOFIX points for child seats. So be it safety, creature comforts or performance, the new Innova is loaded to the brim.
Summing this up is going to be very easy. The Innova Crysta is every bit a generation change as you would expect. Better equipment, a more spacious cabin, more efficient engines and the promise of Toyota reliability. Now the old Innova wasn't a hard act to follow given its age, but the new one just takes the game away from the competition.
Well, that was the all-new Toyota Innova Crysta, which will be filling the shoes of its very able predecessor. But we aren't done with the story just yet. Coming up on the other side, we have a lot more.